Thank you so much. I think it was also a very visually appealing video for us. We sort of got to take a little trip outdoors via this and still be connected to our passion for education and academic excellence. And if you see the comment section, the chat, it's filled with so many feedback about how beautifully and how heavenly the whole concept is, and to see that yes, it actually exists, it is working, it is a real life example, and that is something that is quite motivating for us all to see.
Mhm.
To the audience, the platform is quite open for questions, so you can use the chat section as well as the activity section for the same. Meanwhile, we already actually have a question lined up for you. It says, so the principal of RIS is asking, are you open to a virtual collaboration with students of Cambridge School in Mumbai?
Yeah, we're constantly looking for schools to collaborate with. Of course, it'll depend on what is it that you're hoping to get out of it, right? The idea of not wasting your time is very important for me. So yeah, I mean, let's start a conversation. You can get my contacts from Namrata and the rest of the team. Yeah,
Yes.
we're definitely interested. And I like the way you said a virtual collaboration, because I was just going to say, if it's going to be an on-site collaboration, we might have to wait until 22. But yeah, definitely open to it. You need to know our high school is fairly new. It's only a year and 4 months old. So it sounds like Cambridge, the A-level GCSE students, then we might have to wait for a year before that can happen. But the middle school level, we can definitely make it happen soon. So yes, is the answer. Sorry, long answer to your question. And I look forward to connecting and finding out how we can be of help to each other.
Definitely. So yes, the same question extends to a student exchange too, but I think you already answered that. When we talk about an on-ground exchange, I think could be something that could obviously explore in the possible future when things are safe globally, if I
Mm-hmm.
could say.
Yeah.
But yes, we will share the contact details, specifically or email ID, on the chat box. It has already been shared, so
Mm-hmm.
those of you who are interested can take it from there. I will just read it out also, so that all of you can note it down. It is DAIJU, that is Daiju, at Panyaden, that is PANYADEN .ac.th.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you can be reached on this email ID. So we have space for a lot more questions. Keep them coming. Actually also have a few of our educators who feel like yes, the philosophy and the environment that you created for us on screen, at least, a lot of people are motivated to take on those, like the rice plantation example is what I can see right over here.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them also would like to work and collaborate with you in a much broader capacity, I think. I know I would. So
Sure,
all right, so we
anytime.
have.
Once the borders are open, you're more than welcome to visit us.
Thank
And
you so
and
much, that's quite gracious of
and
you.
none of it was photoshopped. It's
Yes,
the real
yes,
deal.
most importantly, natural at its best.
Yeah.
Um, so we have more questions. We have the principal of RIS asking that they would like to know how you assess the progress of students in terms of the values.
Right. So a fair bit of it is self-assessment, right? Self-evaluation. Let's put it that way, right? It there's quite a lot of our IMYC program and the pre-IB program. One of the things that we have put in place is reflection at the end of each unit, right? And part of our reflection, and when you also look at our unit planners, you will see the link to the 12 wise habits within each of the subject areas, and also part of the reflection for the students. They reflect on the 12 wise habits from that, through the lens of that subject or the discipline. So Quite a lot of it is student generated and self-evaluation. There are times when the teacher acts in the role of um, a facilitator, so to speak, sort of bringing the child uh, to see a slightly different angle, or an angle that the child has not looked into. It's usually they um, they are harsh on themselves when they evaluate themselves, right? So if we as teachers would have given them let's say a 5 out of 7, the students end up giving them a 3 or a 4. So those conversations are meaningful too with their advisory teachers. So a small group of students, anywhere between 5 to 8 students, have an advisory teachers that was in charge of them, and they spend about 20 minutes at the start of each day with their advisory teachers. So quite a lot of reflection and even teaching and learning of these 12 wise habits happens during that time and onwards.
Understood. I think that's quite a nice way to assess something that is quite subjective as well.
And it's very personal.
So
That's the challenge, right?
exactly. So I think that is why self-assessment would make more sense, because the person should be able to know that yes, if I'm implementing these qualities, it is good for me as well as the society.
Right.
I think value education, that's the only way to go ahead with value
Right.
education.
And the idea is not just to follow these or develop these values when they are on our campus, right? The idea is, take this beyond, outside, at home, when you are in a shopping mall, to anywhere, is just making it part of their day-to-day life. So the self-evaluation is, we've noticed, is the best tool.
All right. So Ms. Madhumata Adya also agrees with with your perspective, which is that advisory teacher is a wonderful concept. It is kind of new to, I think, a lot of us here today, but it is definitely something that makes a lot of sense. All right. So we have one more question from Selva Salvage asking, can the children choose what they learn? Because are all the subjects mandatory?
Good question. We have been labeled at times as an alternative education, as a place where students go to have fun. The first part is not true. It's not an alternative education, but yeah, our students understand and have a passion for learning. Right, that is just developed with the structures that we have in place. But that said, do they have to do mathematics, your sciences, your social studies, the languages? So the core subjects exist like any other program, right? We, in August 2021, we'll be offering the IB Diploma program, and some of you offer those at schools, and that the students have to take 6 subjects and the rest of the IB core program. So there's no escape there. But the value added piece, right? What do the students get on top of the regular curriculum that you could get anywhere else, right? Is our campus and the fine features that comes with our campus, and the value-based education. So to answer your question, no, there are definitely a good amount of subjects that's mandatory for our students, like any other setting. But there's, our day is quite long as well. We start our school day at 8:20 and don't finish until 4, and meals are served on site. So there's plenty of time beyond our core programs for students to actually absorb and enjoy our campus and the features it offers.
All right. Yes, that answers the questions quite satisfactorily. Is there anybody who would like to unmute themselves and ask a question?
Excuse me. Hello.
Sure, sir. We can hear you. You can go ahead with your question.
Yeah. Good evening. I think it's a very relevant topic that we've taken up today, and whatever contribution being done is absolutely amazing. But don't you think that values are taught? Values are taught by the kids through variant life situations. Through variant life situations, probably maybe in the school context or community context. So if there is a system where they really catch a value and internalize it to be reflected, to be applied in a general context of a community connect or home connect or whatever you call it. So that auto value internalization, if that becomes part and parcel of our own education edifice, I think that would really be quite useful. This is what I feel. What is your take on this?
I did miss part of your question, but I think I get the gist of it. And if I am going off topic, please stop me and correct me, okay?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I think I mentioned at the start of the presentation, these 12 wise habits are not just designed for our students. The idea is that anybody who signs up to be part of our community wants this for themselves, right? And during their admission process, we present our curriculum, all of these, including the 12 wise habits, and do ask our families that, can you commit to this, right? Is this something that you want to work towards, right? Even and as an administrator, I can already tell you, one of the first things that I do during orientation at the start of the year, I bring up the 12 wise habits and I ask the new families, I'm the principal of the school, how many of these habits do you think I have gained mastery over, right? There are some kind families who would say, oh, 3 or 4, and my response is 0, right? None of them I have gained mastery over. So we are all on this journey together, right? At different stages, of course, right? There are people who would rate themselves an 8 out of 10, and there are others who would rate themselves a 5 out of 10. So the response to your question would be, everybody is in this journey together, right? And if this is not of interest to them, then they are not part of our community. So what happens? Conversations at home, conversations within the classroom, conversations during the lunch hall, conversations anywhere within our community is around these, right? And that's why I said our discipline policy is this. We don't have another big discipline policy going in parallel to this. This is our discipline policy. This is something that we address all the time. Every time when we are talking to our students, and between themselves too. So yeah, I agree. It needs to be. It can't be just students alone when they go back home or when they see our teachers outside of their school setting and behaving outside differently to what we, for lack of a better word, preach. Then we have a problem in hand. Right. So, and that's why even when I'm hiring staff members, I bring this up and saying, well, this is why we are here, and you can only be part of us if this is what you want for yourself. And there are some who go, oh, this feels very religious to me, because these principles are derived from Buddhism, right? And they've decided not to join us, and that's absolutely fine with us, right? But we do want every member of our community to be working towards developing these qualities.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
But when it comes, last question, when it comes to discipline policy, is it designed, is it inclusive at the design level? The very policy of the discipline, is it inclusive at a very design level, or it's designed and then the kids will have to follow that? How is it practiced in your school?
Good question. It is. Can you ask that question again? I want to make sure that I caught the last bit.
Yeah, the thing is that discipline policy of the school, when it's designed, do you include, is it inclusive in a sense that even the kids, the teachers, the parents are also, they're also taken into consideration when the policy is being drafted and designed?
Right. Yeah, and the policy, when you look at some of the traditional discipline policy, it is if you get a suspension, if you get a detention, if you get expelled, if those things are clearly listed, right? For us, it is, are you working towards it, right? Are you showing growth in these areas? So quite a lot of so-called scenarios are brought in by our students. Well, I have done this, and you see this very often during self-evaluation. I'm rating myself a 7, but these are the reasons why, right? And so there's twofold to it. 6 months ago, that is last term or the last school year, I was here, and today I am here. For them to map their growth and to justify the reasons why, and you'll see all sorts of reasons. From a primary student, you will see, oh, I helped my brother with my homework, and that is a sign of, I chose to consume only this much, and that is a sign of, or I pushed using, this is from a high school student, I decided to keep my iPhone 6 for another year, because, so you'll get all sorts of examples, but that is exactly how we want them to think, right, in all aspects of life. So I think a big part of it is them making connections to themselves and to their environment.
Thank you so much for your fabulous work, Kru Daiju Vithayathil. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have one last question that has come up from Silva Salvage. The question goes like, do you think that this kind of school could be funded by the government so that all people could have access to these schools?
I would love for something like this to happen, right? People have asked me about franchising as a model for what we already have. I mean, again, there are organizations, and that includes the government agencies, who will fund if there is an economical gain, right? It depends on the setting. Again, like I started off this session by saying, I know I'm pitching to a global audience, so it is hard for them to relate to the struggle of an Indian educator who is trying to find jobs outside of India, and to thrive at these jobs outside of India, right? But only an Indian educator who's gone through this process can relate to it. Maybe somebody else would struggle to relate to it. It's the same idea. Again, if you're talking about the Indian government, somebody really needs to push this concept as a concept that will work. We had the Indian ambassador to Thailand come and visit. It took me over a year to convince the embassy that, hey, there is this setting, you should have a look at it. Even the consulate in Chiang Mai took some time before they could come and visit. Of course, after they visited, it was, oh, can we feature you in the embassy site and da da da, but it is that piece of education, and for sure I think there will be interest, but the model needs to be well presented to them, and of course it can't be a model. It has to be, it has to sustain itself too, right? I don't think government agencies or any institution is willing to put in money into something that will always keep them in the red. So, and inclusive, I like that. I don't think that purely catering to the needy is something that we can, or schools that has all of this and catering to the not economically gifted, right? But I think it is a twofold model that we can work with, and we already have that. Something that I brought in was the scholarship. So we target families in the region. We don't have a boarding, so it's not beyond the Chiang Mai region, but within Chiang Mai we offer scholarships, and it's, again, not looking at color, not looking at passport, not looking at any of this. If it's an academic scholarship, then we're purely looking at what the student has achieved so far and is able to bring to us. And if it's a sports scholarship or a art scholarship, then we have a different criteria for this. But I would love for this to happen, and I can be one of those who can tag team and present it to anybody who would listen to us.